Good evening. Welcome, everybody. It's Wednesday, July 5th, 6 o'clock, and I wanted to welcome everyone to a regular meeting of the Larkspur City Council. Allison, could we please get a roll call?
Councilmember Carroll.
Here.
Councilmember Way.
Here.
Vice Mayor Candell.
I'm here.
Mayor Paulson.
Here. And let's do our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic and one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. All right. So tonight promises to be a shorter meeting, and we do not have our city manager. He's on vacation. I think Shannon is here standing in, and we have our Elise. Well, oh, okay. Well, so we're really going to wing it, and we'll start off with our next item, which is public comment. So anybody in the chamber who'd like to comment on something not on the agenda tonight, and tonight is really just discussing how we're going to fill Kevin Haroff's position with a special election and reapportion the council appointments. So if it's any item other than that, please feel free to come up to the mic and tell us your name and give us some public comment. All right, Allison, do we have anyone in Zoom in the queue?
You do have Zoom attendees, so I'm looking for any raised hands from the Zoom audience members. There's no public comment.
Okay, so with that, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is presentations and proclamations, which we have none, and the approval of the consent calendar. There are no items tonight for that either. So moving on then to the fifth, which is the city manager's oral report. We have no city manager tonight, so we'll move to our council member oral reports and comments. Any council member want to report out on anything tonight? Wow. Okay. Okie. So the next item, number 7, is public hearings, and none there. So that takes us to the real business for tonight, which is the business item 8.1, calling a special election to fill a vacancy on the city council. So maybe if we could get a quick reminder, staff report.
Happy to do that. As you mentioned, Councilmember Haroff resigned from the city council effective at the end of the day on June 30th. At a special meeting on, oh gosh, what was that, June 23rd? We outlined for you, and the council discussed the options that are available to you to fill that vacancy, which I will not go into that much detail, but boil down to appointment or calling a special election. The council indicated a preference to fill it via a special election. Under the applicable provisions of state law, council has 2 options for that election. If you call the election before July 16th, then the election would occur on November 7th. If you wait until after July 16th, then the election would be in March of 2024, which is March 5th. The resolution that's attached to the staff report would set the election for the November date. If the council decides that you prefer the March date, then at your next meeting, we'll bring forward a different resolutions changed only to have a different election date. As a reminder, the current county estimates for the 2 different elections is $55,000 to $65,000 for November 7th and $13,000 to $27,000 for March. And that's largely because there will be many more items on the ballot in March, whereas the November would likely just be a Larkspur election. There's some other information in the staff report responding to some questions that council had, including the election calendars, but that's pretty much it. The issue before council is just, do you want to set that election for November or March? If you prefer November, the resolution is available to you to adopt tonight, and if not, you prefer March, we will bring a different resolution back at your next meeting. And that concludes the staff report.
Great. Thank you, Scott. So council, any thoughts, comments, questions?
I have a question, Sky. March is a primary, so so I'm clear, it would be a final answer. I feel like a game show. When that election is certified, there would not be a runoff to the top two like it would be for, let's say, a supervisor race.
No, and apologies if that labeling of it caused any confusion. It is the referred to in state law as the presidential primary.
Oh, okay.
So we just use that because that's sort of the lexicon that's being used to refer to it. So the March date is the presidential primary election. There will also be a primary election for supervisor and I believe also state senator.
Okay.
Because of Dianne Feinstein's impending retirement. So as a result of that, it's anticipated that there will be more, not just those elections, but also a significant, like more local agencies will likely be targeting that for local measures or special elections. So it's likely to be a fuller ballot, which would both potentially increase turnout overall, although that's debatable, but certainly reduce costs for the city.
In March. And so
Yes.
that, even though we say primary, it would be the final vote decision for this particular fulfillment role.
Yes, so the city council elections, including this one, are just the highest vote getter. So no matter how many candidates there are, whoever got the most votes at the March election would be elected. So there would not be a runoff between the two highest
Got
vote
it.
getters.
And then the second question is, next year, 2024, there's also 2 regular cycle openings of council members. That would occur then in the regular November time.
That's correct.
Okay. Just to make sure everybody's aware of the scheduling.
Okay, any other questions or feedback or thoughts?
Just a question. If we went for November of this year, we'd be the only thing on the ballot probably, and would, I assume, a pretty rapid certification of the vote.
So my understanding is that so far, nothing else is confirmed for November. That Larkspur residents would also be voting on. So I would anticipate relatively quick the turnaround by the county elections officials. They still have their outside deadline of basically early December to get certified results, but I expect with a much lower workload that they would be able to turn that around more quickly. I don't want to speak for them and guarantee that, but it certainly seems reasonable.
Okay. And if only one person ran, what's our situation? Do we get into the same box if we appoint them instead of going for the full election?
Yes, so this goes back to the discussion from the previous meeting about the provision of state law that states, and this is in the body of law that governs filling city council vacancies, that states that a majority of the city council can't hold office by virtue of appointment. There is a separate body of law dealing with city council elections, which states that when the number of candidates is equal to the number of offices, that the city council can cancel the election and fill the office by appointment. What's uncertain is whether or not the elections code appointment, so appointment in lieu of an election, constitutes appointment for the purposes of filling a vacancy under the separate body of law. So it's a great question. And I have not as uncertain an answer for you as I did about the other. I do think that that there would be a good argument that if there really was only one candidate, that council would be able to cancel the election and appoint that person under the position that the laws regarding elections are really for this election situation, and what's ambiguous is about filling a vacancy. But that said, it is as unanswered a question as the other one. So I can't tell you with certainty, but I can also tell you, as I did at the last meeting, that the options that somebody would have in that situation to challenge that person's right to hold office would either be to try to get to court to get a judge to issue an order to prevent the council from taking that action prior to you taking it, or once the person is appointed, seeking leave from the Attorney General's office to file a specialized type of litigation that would question whether or not the person is lawfully holding office. And then a court would determine whether or not that appointment was lawful. There would be no meaningful challenge to any actions taken by the council while that person held office, because there is a legal principle referred to as de facto office holder, which says that anybody who appears to be lawfully holding office, their actions are treated as official for the time that they appear to be holding that office.
I don't have a question. I just figured I'd jumpstart our conversation.
Start away.
Okay, so for my fellow council members, last time we spoke about this, it was kind of 2-2 and I abstained so we could move past it. I'd love to discuss it a little bit more today so I can understand the other perspective a little bit better. I am in favor of the March election. And the reason I'm in favor of the March election is it saves us $40,000, which I think is not insignificant. There will be bigger voter turnout, which I think is important. I think it gives us a chance to have more people interested, learn about this and run, as opposed to, over summer, it's hard to really get the word out there and get people to run for office. So I see all that on one side is weighing towards March. And the only thing I really see weighing towards November is there's an extra 4 months where it would just be the 4 of us instead of a 5th person. And having complete faith in the 4 of us that we'll be able to work out whatever issues come up, I see the benefits of leaving it to March outweighing the benefits of having it in November. I know at the last meeting, 2 of us felt differently, and I would love to understand the importance of having it in November that outweigh the benefits of leaving it till March.
I think you articulated that very, very well. I think it's kind of down to 6 of one, half dozen of the other, frankly, when it comes to it. I think your points are pretty well taken, that we are running it up into an August deadline for candidates. And I probably we're not going to get as many who will have the knowledge about applying. I am a little concerned that we've had some pretty split votes, but we may have to just table some controversial issues if we until we have a full docket here. So I'm fine either way. What do you think, Kevin?
Well, it's you who convinced me about November. The more I've thought about it since then, I mean, I would have loved to have appointed a former council member as an interim, but I just don't want to put anyone in legal jeopardy. Hi, how are you? Swear to the Constitution, and here's a letter from the Attorney General's office wanting, all your emails and tweets about how you ended up here. It's not fair to them or to us, I think. We got into this mess trying to save $80,000 from that 2019 report I read. I think if it was normal, quote unquote, I would prefer to wait to March for the bigger numbers, but the bottom line is it's a mail ballot now. So every registered voter in Larkspur is going to get a ballot. So I think that, to me, is the convincing argument that let's go for an election now. I would think people that are concerned about our governance, and the ones that I've talked to, I don't think an August deadline is impossible for that. There's not that many people, quite frankly, and looking at the list of online, that are exactly clamoring for this office. So I don't think that's an impediment. I don't think we would necessarily get more candidates for March. And while I would like to think that we'll be fine either delaying issues that we can't agree on or working around it somehow, and I have faith in us being able to do that. It's, as I mentioned at the last meeting, the unknown unknown knowns or known unknowns, a planning decision that's appealed to us that the appellant or the applicant don't like it and we get sued over whether our vote's legit. That concerns me. So I'm still leaning towards November of this year. And you convinced me of it. So.
I know, I convinced you of it, but that's why we postponed this for a couple more weeks to
Yeah,
have time
The
to
more I've thought
digest it.
about it,
Yeah.
I just really feel the sooner we let the voters decide it, the better.
I think we will have a lot of candidates because I've already heard 3 or 4 who are interested in, but with the August 21st or August 14th deadline, I just, now I'm beginning to think after that's 6 weeks away, a lot of people are not going to get tuned into it at that time. So, but it also is, it's one of the first sort of times we've had a most not inexperienced, but the most less legacy of a council where we've had some, I'm like the person who's been here longest. So I think it would be important to make sure that we open up the field to a lot of people who have may not be in attendance tonight, but who are paying attention to what we're doing and all different subject matters. So that's why I'm leaning now towards March.
And I just want to add to that a couple things. I mean, the one thing, Kevin, I think you're right, the mail ballot, it feels assuring, but the stats we got, on the odd number of years, 17, 19 was literally half. So people will maybe get it, but maybe throw it away because a lot of stuff gets thrown away. And I almost feel like the participation is so critical. And, I kind of jotted down, I came up with 5 issues and 5 meetings. So I think the 5 issues that have been the ones where it would feel good to have 5 and really, not have to, get to 2.2 is housing element, any appeals like North Magnolia, rent, obviously rent stabilization, and then to some extent City Hall and the library, what comes up with the RFP. So those are like 5 things where I started thinking, yeah, the sooner we have a full council, the better. But then I also thought about the 5 meetings. So say we went with November, in principle, we'd have November 15th, December 6th. And then after that, January 10, 24, February 7, 21, and March 6th. Now I did 7 meetings, but I think the last 2 won't really count because around Thanksgiving, the agenda gets light. December 16th, there's a swing. So really, I think the election in 2023 won't be much of consequence to 2023. It'll just matter for January 10, 24, February 7, 21, and March 6. So we, because it's not going to help us either way in all that intervening time where I think these issues may come up. So if we're willing to hold off for August, September, October, November, then what's an extra 2 or 3 months? I don't know about the urgency piece there.
Make a proposal.
Yeah, I mean, I think the points are good. I just wanted to let it sink in that to me, of everything I just said, I think the voter participation is the biggest one. To get 75, this is going to be a lot of people are going to be voting in March, and to get all of Larkspur to really buy in. And I know that people coming back from vacation and, me personally, getting the word out, I think we will it's not only the number of people who will apply, because when, Scott and I filed, there were 4 people for 1 seat. It looked super competitive. And then suddenly 2 just dropped out and another opening, and then it was completely non-competitive. So, I'd rather it be competitive with a lot of voters because, this is going to be for the remainder of Kevin's Haroff's old term. And, these issues, I think more will come up. I mean, I think on an appeal, if I go through the 5 issues, I think on an appeal, we'll work together as a group like North Magnolia. I mean, I don't think that's going to split us. And on the housing element, I don't think there was anything that came up that was split about that. And on the library and City Hall, I really, think we could work through that. The rent stabilization is maybe that one piece, but even there, it was split even with it being, as either way you go, I don't think it's going to resolve that as, as something to tilt it one way or the other. So the issues don't really convince me as being, more, solvable with an extra member. So yeah, if I were to make a motion, I mean, I just wanted us to check in, and my check-in is, I thought about it a good bit, and I feel more and more strongly about March.
Should we, we'll see if there's any public comment? or-
Yeah. But it looks like Kevin, you still want to, you're good. Okay, we're all good. Yeah, so why don't we see if any public comment, anybody in the chamber want to comment in on this? What date is the topic here, whether March or whether November for the election for our fifth council member? Okay, what about Zoom land? Anybody
Yes.
up there?
I'm looking for any raised hands from our Zoom audience member, and the first comment will be from caller ending 1402.
James Holmes.
James Holmes, Larkspur. Ordinarily, I would encourage the city to hold the election at the earliest relevant date. However, in light of the statistics about lower turnouts for special elections and the $40,000 spread between the cost of November versus March, I'd encourage you to limp along until March. Of course, if you do want to go ahead and have it in November, I can tell you a suggestion for where to get the money, specifically from Dolliver Park or from the park sign projects. So you could cover it from that source, but failing that, I'd encourage you to go with March. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Any other comments?
I'm looking for any additional raised hands from our Zoom audience members. There's no further public comment.
Okay, so yeah, let's bring it. Well,
I don't know if you even need to do that. All we have to do is not move for this.
I
right?
think if you, I think I'll channel the city manager and say, I think we've got direction, and unless you say something different, we will take this as postponement and modify the resolution for the March election and bring it back to you at your next regular meeting. And you can take action on it at that time.
All right, and I just want to clarify, just so I'm clear and we're all clear. So if there's 4 people on the council, and something comes up and it's 2-2, it just doesn't pass.
That's correct.
So it sort of turns us from the House of Representatives into the Senate, where we need a supermajority to really pass anything. We need 3 out of 4 to pass something.
Pretty much everything will require, yeah, I mean, if 4 of you are present, it will require 3 affirmative votes to pass anything. That's correct. So yes, supermajority for everything from here on out.
Okay, thank you.
and then just for direction, I guess, so Catherine, you were thinking March, and Kevin, you're still preferring November.
Yeah, and I'd prefer we had a vote on this.
Okay. Okay, so
We don't have a resolution to vote on. We have to wait.
But you can, if somebody wants to make a
yeah,
motion,
you can move to what was in the agenda tonight was for the November election. So if
Okay,
you wanna-
now I'll make the motion that it be a November 2023 election.
so that would be, I'll just take that as a motion to adopt the resolution that's attached
Correct.
to the staff report.
And I'll second that. So can we get a roll call?
Councilmember Carroll,
Yes,
Councilmember Way.
No,
Vice Mayor Kendall,
No,
Mayor Paulson.
But we have a direct, but we've heard from council otherwise, and so we will bring the resolution back at your next meeting so that you have the option to then decide whether or not to call an election for March 2024.
Okay, great. So that concludes business item 8.1. And 8.2 is the last business item. That's our city council appointments. So we received a list of what all the appointments were with some highlighter on what Councilmember Haroff was attending. And I don't know if we need a staff report on this. Does anybody feel like we do? I think the information is fairly straightforward.
Usually a council
what we
item
decide.
anyway.
Yeah. Okay, great. And my only comment on that is, we started talking a little bit before the meeting, just looking at the list, but essentially, it seems that the items we may want to focus on first are the ones where a Councilmember Haroff was either a sole representative, like in Marin County Bay Wave, and if he's gone, there's nobody else. And we may also want to look at the ad hoc committees, which are no longer necessarily running. And then other than that, he was either a representative who had an alternate and we could substitute an alternate, or he was an alternate himself and we could leave that blank, or we could try to, probably the proper thing is to fill everything tonight. So I was just gonna suggest that we go to Ross Valley Sanitary District, where he was the only rep. And then to Bay Wave, Marin County Bay Wave, because those are probably the two most consequential and, maybe with some time commitment. The other ones I think were probably better covered. So any interest in Ross Valley Sanitary District?
No.
My God. Well, come on, it meets the third Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. You have no interest there, huh?
Mr. Mayor, my understanding is I'm going to be stepping up for the police and the fire. So I think my plate is actually going to be full. So I don't overcommit. So,
Yeah.
but thank you for offering.
Wondering if we can go back to that November vote. Maybe we have some wisdom over there.
You don't always have to attend, so.
Yeah, no, I understood. And I mean, and I'm gonna appreciate that we're all,
Well-
I mean, everybody is doing a lot here and there's just a full plate.
I think the ad hoc committees, the Bay Wave is going to have to be a vote by MCCMC. That's how a person is appointed.
Okay,
So that's going to have to go to their leadership to see what they want to do. Because that is a MCCMC committee. But I'll do the library and I'll take his role of the library Larkspur Community Center task force. And work with Vice Mayor Candell on that one.
and then
And-
I guess the other one, the MCCMC ad hoc.
That has to go to them
is the
too.
same as-
Yeah.
as Bay Wave, so I'll send something to, I think it's either Melissa or yeah, I'll send it to the MCCMC and ask them to, to tell us, advise us or take it over.
Right.
And then the Housing Steering Committee, I think we're pretty much done, but we have you both as
Right.
alternates. So I think we can probably say that one's safely covered. Rent stabilization ad hoc, I mean, I think that one, if you want, you what's that? That's over, yeah.
Pretty much over.
Yeah, that's, okay, and,
One is that you can eliminate again, MCC Joint Powers Authority Oversight Committee, that's no longer active. It may be reactivated next year.
And then I'll offer to take over library board liaison, your alternate role, Mayor.
okay, that's great.
Is Allison getting all this?
All right. Okay, and then, so we've covered all the ad hoc and then we've done the Central Marin, the Central Fire, and Catherine, you just jumped in on the, where was the library?
That's on page 3. The second one down on ad hoc
thank you.
committees, yeah.
Okay,
That covers it, I think.
yeah.
Who's-
and
you're-
then on
Who's doing clean energy?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've already, that's gonna make my plate extra full, but I figured, yeah, I've already talked to the executive director there, and I think we're set up for now. So no takers on Ross Valley.
I'd be happy to take over your wildfire prevention authority
Hmm,
as not the alternate, but to be the,
hmm.
you have to think about that though.
Okay, yeah. I mean, because I know I've got too much going on and you'd be great. Okay, planning commission liaison, you did. So
Think
you're
that
doing
covers
that
it.
that one as well, right? That's,
Who, me, or who's the,
sorry, I'm on page 1 now. I don't know that we,
are you looking at planning commission liaison? Is Candell, are you staying on that? And
Yeah.
then as the alternate?
Yeah, I was the alternate. If somebody else wants to step up and be the representative, they can. If not, I'll scoot up from the alternate to the representative.
I'll do it.
Oh.
I'll do planning commission.
Okay,
okay,
so I'll stay on the alternate.
great.
Come on. Oh, wait a minute.
And who,
Yeah,
and
first.
transportation authority, Marin, is, you're still
Yeah,
doing,
that's-
yeah.
So I think we're down to Ross Valley Sanitary District.
Oops.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm definitely gonna have to unload something, so I'll do.
Well, what do you
Roxbury.
want to unload? Let me know.
Yeah, I'll get back to you. 'cause
Okay.
I was trying to finish some stuff up on the MWPA, but I think you'd be great, and I know you kind of.
We'll find out if that, yeah.
Yeah.
Just at your next meeting, see if that would be appropriate.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think with regard to Ross Valley, that since it meets basically the same time as the council, that nobody's been attending regularly, it's really sort of been, and if an issue comes up, liaison position, if I recollect.
Oh, you're right. It is the third Wednesday of the month, which is our council.
Right, so it's not a
But it's
liaison
at
that.
6, so you have half an hour.
That's right. Unless-
Okay, I'll
unless-
take it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
That's right.
No, I'll do it.
Okay, great. Catherine's got Ross Valley. Kevin is Planning Commission. We dropped MCC Joint Powers. I'm gonna do MCE. Scott has Central Fire, Central Marine Police. Chamber is Scott and.
Me,
Catherine.
yeah.
Yeah, you're the alternate there. And then on the ad hocs, general planning, hearing, I don't think he said anything about that one. And update steering.
That's pretty much over. Our general plan is pretty much over.
So-
I mean, we're done for 8 years, aren't we? Hopefully.
I would hope so.
Okay. And then the Larkspur, that was gonna be Scott and Catherine. Bay Wave will take back to MCCMC.
Right.
The ad hoc climate change take back to MCCMC, housing steering done, rent stabilization done, and boom, we're done. Did I miss anything, Allison? Okay. Does anybody want to make any comments on what we just went through there? Okay, so with that, I believe we are done with our business items, and that brings us to adjournment. I'm sorry. I don't think on this one. Yeah. Okay, so our next regular meeting is in 2 weeks on the 19th, and probably starting at 6:30, Allison, rather than 6. Yeah, okay.
And I'm out.
Oh, and we'll have 3 council members only. So that'll be interesting. Okay, and with that, thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight, and we will see you on the 19th. Good night.